Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I have some great information for you with regard to getting laws passed. Now, I do a lot of talking about legislative things, different bills, acts, that type of stuff, legislation that's been introduced. And it's up to us, really, to kind of help nudge it to the finish line by reaching out to our congressional representatives, either by email or phone call, that type of stuff. You can show up in person if you want. That's good, too. Talk with a staffer there at the office and let them know that you're either for or against a specific bill. That's important stuff. Now, in all of this stuff that I do for you to bring to you information every day, I browse through a lot of stuff. In any case, I stumbled upon something that I thought I would share with you to shine a little more light on this specific subject. So I want to jump into that. Hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. The two biggest things you could do for the channel is really hit the thumbs up and let the video run, right? Letting the video run tells YouTube to push it on to more vets so we all know what's happening. And I'll tell you, when it comes to getting legislation passed, the more of us that know what's going on, the more of us can actually affect some sort of change, right? So let the video run. It's a few minutes of your day, big deal. You know, set your phone down and walk somewhere else if you don't want to, if you already know, right? Anyway, so jumping into it, the headline here is getting veteran-centric laws passed comes down to having conversations. This is actually on the DAV website, so the Disabled American Veterans website, and it's a good little piece here, kind of an informational piece, and wanted to share it with you. If you're not a member, consider joining. It does help support the channel, and it helps me to find you quicker in the comments. All right, so jumping into it here, Army veteran J.R. Wilson compared the feelings of speaking to a member of Congress for the first time to being a junior enlisted soldier having to talk to a general. He was nervous, but that quickly faded. What really surprised me was how down-to-earth they are, he said. It was a lot easier to talk to them than I anticipated because they want to serve veterans too. Now, Wilson, who is the legislative director for the DAV, Department of California, regularly talks to lawmakers at all levels of government to push for legislation that benefits ill and injured veterans and their families. He sees civic engagement as a duty that all veterans should be engaged in. I agree. Veterans, now if you have the capability, right? Obviously, if there's something barring that, then obviously not. So next quotation here. Veterans serve their country. Veterans serve their community, he said. It's not about a pat on the back. It's about serving that veteran and their family and helping them get the benefits they earned. The conversations he had and other DAV members have had make a difference. In 2022, Wilson and other members of a small California delegation traveled around the state to encourage members of Congress to pass the Honoring Our Pact Act, the most comprehensive toxic exposures legislation affecting veterans ever. Representative Doug LaMalfa, I'm not sure, was one of the legislators they met with who was on the fence about the bill. During the meeting, Wilson and his team shared the story of Bob Brooks, an Air Force veteran who had been stationed at the Royal Thai Air Force Base. I'm not sure how to say it, Ubon Royal Thai Air Force Base in Thailand during the Vietnam War, and who later had several cancers linked to Agent Orange exposure. DAV had been helping him since 2013, but was unable to get a favorable ruling from the Department of Veterans Affairs because the law didn't recognize the base as being exposed to herbicide. Brooks died in 2017. Wilson said Brooks' story effectively illustrated how the PACT Act would affect family members and survivors, not just veterans. Language in the bill would add Thailand to the list of VA-recognized areas for presumptive Agent Orange exposure. And I'm going to stop there for a second. Remember, the magic of a presumptive condition listed, right? Presumptive eliminates your need for a nexus. You no longer need the link proven that your military service caused that condition if you served in the designated area with the designated presumptive conditions or condition. All right, moving on. Later on that day, we got a call saying that that the congressman was going to support the bill. He said, and then when the vote came down, we saw that he voted yes. And that's the beauty of these votes, by the way. You could pull up the record and you can see if they follow through. Now, DAV National Legislative Director John Ilm said conversations like that illustrate how crucial it is for DAV members to talk with elected officials and advocate for DAV's critical policy goals. And I'll tell you, DAV's critical policy goals, they align with veterans' goals. I mean, for the most part, everything is obviously going to be geared toward benefit of veteran and spouses and dependents. So, but obviously they have their own set of critical policy goals that they're aiming for. So, moving on. Congress controls the money, but we remind them that their obligation to those who served, she said. Wilson said advocacy starts well before those conversations happen, with members participating in DAV's annual resolution process. DAV's critical policy goals are born from issues raised at the department and chapter meetings. That's where the engagement really begins, is at the local level, said Wilson. Your vote matters, your input matters, and I'm going to stop there. Yes, we can have collectively as the veteran sphere, right? All of us, we can have all of the veteran service organizations, VFW, American Legion, DAV, Paralyzed Veterans, Purple Heart, all of those, right? Marine Corps League, all of them championing for us at Capitol Hill. But if we're not doing anything in the voting district, if it's silent, the congressional member has a little less to worry about, if you know what I mean. The more noise we make in their backyard, in the constituency for that district, the more that it will help get the ball over the finish line. You have the organizations championing at the Hill, you have us in the districts, and together we get it from both sides, right? We're flanking it, which is a good thing. So moving on here, Ilm said chapter-approved resolutions move on the department level and then the national level, where they're voted on during the DAV and Auxiliary National Convention each year. Adopted resolutions make up DAV's legislative program for the year and allow the organization to endorse critical veteran-related federal legislation. Now, going back to resolutions, there's all kinds of different people watching this, okay? So, just kind of food for thought. If you are somehow aware of something amazing in your neck of the woods, right? Your backyard. Let's say, for example, you are aware because you have a family member or you yourself are in the National Guard or the reserves. But let's say National Guard. You're in the National Guard and you did a bunch of state missions throughout the year, right? Such as, for example, you had all the COVID things that were going on. You have wildfires in areas. You have floods in other areas. Well, when these units are out doing stuff, right, and doing all these different missions, these things are opportunities for us to share with our elected officials and have them recognize that unit with a resolution. So the congressional member or a state level senator or assemblyman or representative or whatever they're called in your state, they can also do these resolutions. So they can recognize that unit in this situation or a whatever it is, something great that happened, something good that happened, right? You're getting them recognized. It gives good face time for that elected official, which is good, but it's also giving them some face time with military and veteran type of stuff, which is also good. So it's kind of like a you scratch their back, they scratch yours type of a situation, but it opens up the doorways for some free-flowing two-way conversation. Hey, I found something great here that would make you look good. I would love to have you come down, do a resolution for these folks, make them look good, give them this resolution. They'll hang it on the wall in their armory, and that's an awesome thing. And oh, by the way, we need to do more for X, right? So moving on, I just wanted to kind of drop that little bit about resolutions. I think that they're great. So moving on, however, this process is strictly nonpartisan, which it has to be, right? It's we're in a very good position as veterans for the most part. We got it good on both sides of the aisle. So being nonpartisan is really the only way to be. However, this process is strictly nonpartisan. DAV does not endorse political parties or candidates. As the DAV bylaws and Constitution point out, our promise is to advance the interests and work for the betterment of all our wounded, gassed, injured, and disabled veterans, Elm said. To be that support to fellow veterans, Wilson said it's important for DAV members to vote in all government elections, educate themselves about issues affecting veterans, know DAV's critical policy goals, and use resources like DAV's National Legislative Team when they have questions. After the president signed the PACT Act into law in August of 2022, Wilson said DAV filed an appeal on behalf of Brooks and his widow, Barbara, keeping a promise made to the family. We told him and his wife before he passed that we're never going to give up on the claim, said Wilson. This time, the VA approved Brooks's appeal. It was the way Bob was able to help her, Wilson said. And that's how it ends, okay? The big takeaway here, I think, is it's really understanding that it really is down to us in the constituency, reaching out, voicing our support for bills or our disapproval for bills, right? Either way, but voicing those things. And doing that at the constituency level is really important. Utilizing the mechanisms in place from your elected officials, like those, they have certificates. They'll have, you can do certificates. Those are easy. Or you could go resolution, which is a bigger step, right? And resolutions can be done at your county level, your state level, and probably even your city level. Your mayor could probably do them. So you can utilize resolutions in order to really get somebody a little more involved who might not be that involved with military or veteran affairs, right? Get them involved a little bit, and then they'll start to open up their eyes, and it's a little easier to get things to move forward. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.